Alright, so I recently saw the Avengers, and before I get into it, let me just say that I thought it was incredibly entertaining, very well done. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So don't take any of these complaints too seriously. These are just those kind of visceral, topical critiques that you have that you can't help but have. I mean, I know you're supposed to suspend your rationality at the door and just leave it there until you leave again, and then just accept all the silliness of the movie. But there are still sometimes, even in a superhero movie, where it's just so ridiculous that you can't overlook things. So the first confusing thing for me, and I should preface this again by saying I don't know anything about the comic books. I've never been into comic books, so all I know about these superheroes is what I garner from the film itself. Now, first of all, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, no problem with those three. Those guys are badasses. Iron Man made the movie just because Tony Stark is so clever and witty and great. The Hulk guy, this was the first movie where the Hulk was actually a good character. You know, he was actually like a feeble, like, oh, kind of timid guy when he wasn't the Hulk, which really made it that much more exciting when he did become the Hulk. And Thor was just pretty much a badass. You know, I liked the whole hammer thing and how it could come back in his hand. Like, I didn't really understand why he had to pick a hammer, though. Like, if you can have any kind of magic implement, you'd better believe I'd have been had some magic, you know, double-handed Braveheart kind of sword that I could throw, and it could have impaled like 10 of those alien zombie creatures in one thrust. You know, that would have been pretty cool. Much more cool than a hammer. But hey, we got to keep it in cohesion with Nordic mythology. So anyway, the people I had problems with were Black Widow, who is Scarlett Johansson, or Scarlett Johansson, who is Black Widow, and Hawkeye, Hawkman. Whoever the hell that guy is, the guy from Hurt Locker. Both of them played the part well, but I just really didn't get it. Like, I didn't understand their place in the movie. Like, even Captain America, who compared to Thor and the Hulk and Iron Man, really just isn't that badass. Like, he's strong, he's good, you know, good for him, and he rallied everybody together. But when you put him up against the Hulk, you're like, wow, that guy's like a, you know, B-level superhero compared to the Hulk, who's just tearing shit apart, no big deal. Or even to Iron Man, which is just, you know, a fabricated suit. Imagine if you put like the Hulk in a suit. My God, the potential. But anyway, so my problem with Black Widow and Hawkman, or Hawkeye, was that their powers, like, they didn't even have any powers, and they weren't badass enough to be like the kind of superhero like Batman is, who doesn't need powers, you know? When you see Batman, that's part of his appeal. He doesn't have powers. He just has a shit ton of money and a ton of resources, and he can build whatever the hell he wants for any reason at any juncture, and that's cool. Scarlett Johansson's character, like, she was just, what, good at fighting? Like, how good at fighting can you be at 5'2", 110 pounds, you know? Even if you could train all day, every day for your entire life, and if you're a 5'2" woman that weighs 110 pounds, you're not going to be doing much in the way of, you know, beating up shit tons of crazy alien creatures with rifle guns that kind of look like spears and big crazy alien biceps or whatever their muscles are. I don't know, but you're just not going to be able to compete. You know, it was just silly to me because seeing that one scene where they all circle around and it's like that pan that everybody like saw in the trailer where all of them are standing there together. It's like, all right, there's the Hulk standing there all green and badass. He's clearly he's needed there. If they lost him, it would be shit out of luck. There's Thor. If they lost him, they would be shit out of luck. There's Captain America. You know, maybe they could lose Captain America, but he's kind of responsible for getting everybody here in the first place and organizing them and rallying behind a cause, and so you kind of need him too. And there's Iron Man, who, no shit, you need him. And then you got the guy with the bow and arrow and Scarlett Johansson. And when you look at them, you're like, all right, you could pretty much take Scarlett Johansson out of this picture and then just pluck Brock Lesnar out of, you know, anywhere, wherever he is on Earth at the time, and then put him in that situation. And I'd rather fight next to Brock Lesnar, honestly, than Black Widow. It seems like he's got more potential, but that's just, you know, my understanding of the fighting capacity of a small little girl compared to a giant hulking man like Brock Lesnar. But I mean, I could be wrong. If she has some kind of superpower, fill me in on this, you know, fill in the blank, what is her superpower? But I looked at it, and it doesn't seem that she had one, you know? Even when she and Hawkeye were having their little spat when they were fighting on that ship, it was like the most pathetic fight of all time. Like, I just wanted to imagine that whole time Iron Man just walking in casually and then just grabbing both of them by their craniums and then just casually crushing their skulls and leaving them there to rot. Like, that's all it would have taken. Like, there's nothing you could have done to prevent that because their powers aren't that badass, you know? And calling them powers is giving them too much credit already. And then the guy with the bow and arrow, like, yeah, it's pretty cool that you can shoot a bow and arrow really well, but is that a superpower? Does that make you one of the epic friends of the Hulk and the Avengers? No, you just shoot a bow and arrow pretty well. Like, who gives a shit, man? Like, at the very least, if you have this profound ability to predict accuracy, can you use a gun, man? Can you just use a gun or a rocket launcher or a weapon that, I don't know, wasn't made before we started recording history as a human species? Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, and I know that a lot of them have, like, nets and grappling hooks and things like that, but, you know, there's this, like, remarkable other kind of way to do things where you don't use it with a freaking bow and arrow. You don't need a bow and arrow to have a grappling hook. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but a small little gun on your side that can shoot a grappling hook that'd be just as good. That'd probably be better. It could shoot farther, you know? There's no reason for all of this ridiculous drama and him and his bow and arrow. Like, at the very least, pick up a sniper rifle, pick up some kind of rocket launcher or grenade launcher, and then just go to town and use your magic accuracy to destroy those giant turtle things that are wrecking the city. Is that too much to ask, Hawkeye? Really? Come on, man. Why are you limiting yourself like that? That's like if I had the power to just summon any kind of energy to my hands, like fire and ice and water, or just any element or anything at all, and I could fire it really powerfully. That's like if I had the ability to just summon a huge ball of flame and shoot it out of my hands, and I decided, nah, you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to shoot out a stream of water that's about as thick, you know, like a fire hose, and then just drown them slowly like that from close range. Like, you're limiting yourself for no reason, dude. There's no reason for you to be doing that. It's badass that you got the accuracy thing going, but once again, you're like Bullseye from Daredevil. That guy was throwing cards and shit. How much damage are you going to do throwing a card? I don't care how good you are at throwing a card. You're going to get killed, man. And just like that Hawkeye dude, it doesn't matter how good you are with a bow and arrow. If a guy is out of bow and arrow range, or I don't know, can see the bow and or not the bow, the arrow coming right at him, he's gonna step to the side, and then he's gonna look up this little scope. He's gonna put a cap right in your ass. Like, there's no reason for it. So I guess that's what kind of pissed me off about the movie a little bit, but not enough for it to ruin any of the experience. I just kind of, you know, you have to suspend your belief and just kind of sit back and enjoy it. And it was a fun movie, but I didn't get it. I didn't get why Scarlett Johansson was there, aside from the fact that she's very attractive, and of course the movie needed at least a little modicum of sex appeal. And the guy with the bow and arrow, it's like, Jesus, man, you think that his friends would be nice enough to tell him? Like, it's like it's almost like when you tell your friends you have food in your teeth or something, and you say, hey, you pull them to the side, and you say, hey, you got a little bit of shit in your teeth, and they're like, oh, thanks. And it's a little bit embarrassing, but then afterward, they're more thankful for it. They should have had a big intervention for Hawkeye and been like, Hawkeye, we really appreciate your efforts and everything you're doing for the team, but this whole bow and arrow thing, man, can you leave the Bronze Age, please? Can you leave that whole era behind? We realize it's aesthetically pleasing. And he'd be like, no, it's cool. And he'd start crying uncontrollably because he knows in the deep recesses of his mind that it's ridiculous and shitty. And then Iron Man would have to walk over and be like, hey, because I'm a super genius and have millions and billions of dollars at my disposal, I built you this incredible contraption that looks even better than your bow and shoots faster and better and more variants of ammo, and it's cool. And then you'd have a real superhero potentially, you know, even though his only thing is he has good eyesight, something, you know, apparently getting LASIK is good enough for a superhero nowadays. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all that. So if either of them have superpowers or something and I'm just missing the boat completely, set me straight in the comment section below. But that's all I got to say about the Avengers. Highly recommend it. Go see it. Tons of fun. Just it's a movie that makes you feel like a kid again, really. So that's all I got to say, and I love you.